She had always been the kind of woman who commanded a room. Confident, magnetic, a little too flirtatious at times, but I used to find that charming when we first met, never imagining that one day that same charm would be weaponized against me, used to humiliate me in front of the very people who once knew us as the perfect couple. And it all began to crumble the night she invited me to her office party months ago. Well, correction, the night she didn't invite me, because apparently it was an employee event to celebrate a huge client acquisition. And I, being the supportive husband, didn't question it at first. But a gut feeling sat heavy in me, the kind that doesn't come from insecurity, but from quiet observation, from seeing how her phone suddenly had passwords when it didn't before, how she'd started working late almost every evening but never brought home a laptop, how she smelled like unfamiliar cologne on random nights and claimed it was just her new shampoo. And yet my instincts stayed patient, watching, logging the inconsistencies like silent timestamps of betrayal. Then came the whispers from mutual friends, the awkwardness in her coworker smiles when I showed up at the building once unannounced to drop off her forgotten scarf. And I knew then something was off, and it wasn't just paranoia. So I started looking deeper, not like a madman but methodically, finding the patterns, meetings that didn't exist on the company calendar, dinner receipts she tried to hide, and finally a hotel booking under her name with 2 guests. For a weekend I was told she was away at a leadership seminar. And when I confronted her with gentle questions, she gave me half lies and teary distractions, pretending like I was losing trust for no reason. But liars are predictable. They always talk too much when they should just listen. And that's when I decided I wouldn't shout, wouldn't beg, wouldn't cry. I would watch because some truths need to explode in front of a crowd. And she gave me the perfect opportunity when she made the mistake of inviting him, her lover, to the biggest event her company had ever hosted, a black-tie gala meant to impress board members and major investors. And she walked in on his arm like I didn't exist, like I was a phase she'd grown out of, parading him in the same circles where people once congratulated us on our anniversary, smiling that smug smile that said, "I've moved on and you're powerless to stop me." But I wasn't powerless. She didn't know that I'd already spoken to her company's CTO, an old university buddy of mine, weeks earlier, dropping subtle hints, sharing screenshots, just enough for the right kind of attention to fall on her emails, her calendar logs, her expense reports. And tonight, while she raised her glass with him at her side, unaware of the storm behind the polished smiles and music, I stepped through the main doors wearing the suit she once helped tailor, uninvited, but completely welcome thanks to a tip-off from the inside. As my eyes locked on hers across the ballroom, her expression flickered. Shock, fear, confusion. And that was the last moment she had control of the night. Because just then the CTO walked to the mic and said, "Before we continue the celebration, there's an urgent ethics update that must be addressed regarding misuse of corporate resources." A murmur spread as the screen behind him changed from a slideshow of office milestones to a detailed internal audit. Hotel expenses flagged. Travel invoices falsified. Meetings double-booked with names now blacked out but clearly matching dates I knew all too well. And then came the images. Grainy surveillance from hotel lobbies, a restaurant reservation where she sat across from him holding hands, kissing him in full view, her badge still clipped to her bag. The crowd turned into a silent gallery of dropped jaws and awkward glances, all while she stood frozen, her glass trembling, her lover stepping away like a roach caught in the light. I walked slowly through the center of that room until I stood directly in front of her, the woman I once vowed to protect, and simply said, "This is the legacy you chose." Then I turned to the CTO and said, "I think that's all the context your board needs." As I left the ballroom, I heard it. The questions, the HR director's voice rising, her lover denying everything, and her voice cracking as she tried to spin the story. But it was too late. The illusion she built shattered with the sound of 1,000 unsaid truths finally screaming to be seen. And while she spent the following weeks dealing with disciplinary hearings, legal inquiries, and a terminated contract, I moved on with a quiet fire in my chest. Not of rage, but of closure. Because I didn't just walk in to confront her. I walked in to turn her perfect little night into ashes. And when she tried to call, to message, to explain why she felt lost or deserved to be seen, I never responded. Because you don't bargain with arsonists who torture love and call it self-discovery.